Hi, I'm Mel,
And I'm Janelle.
and this is the Murder Mamas. We need
Can't hear the
the grabbing.
the grabbing of the
We
mic.
need two microphones. We only have one.
I'll get there.
If
Maybe,
you guys would
if
like
ever buy-
pay for subscriptions, that'd be great. Especially because we're always on time.
Yes, we didn't take a month off. This really has become just us wanting to do this.
Yeah,
It's just us.
It's just us.
This is for nobody but us.
Right, exactly.
Genuinely.
Pretty much. Okay, so today I didn't know. Some of this sounds familiar, but it could be familiar from other cases, is what I was thinking.
Okay.
Because I looked it up and I'm like, I've never heard of this guy.
Okay, well.
But some of the stuff could be from just other cases that I'm thinking of.
I could not watch.
Decided not to watch.
Yeah, the week snuck past me. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
So you get to let me experience it
Yeah.
for the first time.
So we're going to be talking about The Beauty Queen Killer, 9 Days of Terror.
Ooh.
And this is on Hulu. And I just want to remind people, because some people have been giving us remarks, like I didn't research this out of the actual Hulu documentary. I only talk about what the Hulu talks about.
Correct.
So remind people that like sometimes you might know more information than what we're saying because it probably wasn't in the Hulu documentary.
Correct.
Although I did go through and get some Wikipedia names because I didn't write down last names of girls, and I think that should probably be. So at the end, I'm going to say everybody's name.
Okay.
So we'll get that.
But yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
Like when we do these kinds of episodes where we're talking about the content of a show or documentary or whatever it is, like we're talking about what's presented in that media.
Yes.
We're not saying what is true, what is factual, what the case is, what anything is. Like we're literally saying like this is how it's presented and we're discussing that.
Yeah. Yes.
So
there we go. Okay. So
also we're allowed to joke around.
Yes.
Like not about victims because that's fucked up, but like about each other.
We do joke a lot and we're not putting down the victim at all. But it's like a crime related, so you need a little humor in there every once in a while.
Well, and also I don't think I can have a conversation without being mean to you.
Yeah. So it's usually about us or our family.
Yeah.
It's not about the victims.
So like if that's not your jam, like you can just have that not be your jam.
Yeah. Which is fine.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Just move along.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about Christopher Wilder, and this happens in like 1984 for like 7 weeks. He just goes on a fucking rampage.
Oh.
He has people beforehand that we'll talk about before 1984, but the main set is in 1984.
Okay.
So it opens up and we see Tina, who is talking about her Christopher kidnapped her for 9 days. So this is why it's called 9 Days of Terror. She's like the main one that this Hulu documentary is about.
Okay. Quick. Question.
Yeah.
Is Tina young, old?
Tina is old now. I mean, old.
not her present
not old.
age.
She's like 50. This happened. She's talking about, like, it opens up and she's saying, when I was 16 years old in 1984,
this is what happened
to me.
So she's alive.
Yeah, she's alive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So she was like in her teens.
Yes, 16. It opens up and she was like, I'm going to tell my side of the story 40 years later.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 40 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yikes.
So she lived in... She described herself... She was warm, she was friendly, she was funny. Like, it was just, she was 16. She's like, I didn't know any better. It was just like, I was such a baby. So, like, yeah, I was
I only
16.
describe myself with good adjectives as well. It's fine.
So she lived in Torrance, California,
Okay.
which is near us.
Mm.
Or not anymore, but it was.
Was at one time.
Was at one time. And on April 4th, 1984, she went to school on the bus.
Okay.
And then she comes back on the bus. And the bus happens to go by a mall. So 1984, I know you weren't born then.
Nope.
I was only 3. But I know malls were like the big thing. Like,
Yeah.
everybody hung out at a mall. And they show video footage. And I was like, oh my God, that's so many people. Like, I remember having to wait in line with like 15 or 20 people to actually get to pay for my clothes. Like, it was insane. That's how crowded malls were back then. You just went to hang out. A lot of people didn't even shop. It was just a hangout spot.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm going to go look for a job. So she gets off the bus, doesn't tell her mom because she's coming back from school. So she doesn't have a cell phone or anything. So she walks into the mall.
She didn't have a cell phone in 1984?
No, she didn't. It's weird. So she walks into the mall to go apply. And this guy is taking pictures of her. And like, just randomly, like her and like some other girls. And so he walks up to her and he was like, you could be a model. And she was like, that was the best feeling in my life because I'm 16 and some photographer thinks I could be a model, that I should go with him and take pictures. And he'd pay me $25 or something an hour to do that, which is really good money. Yeah.
It's like, it's almost uncanny how they know how to like prey on people.
They do.
But it's like this innate ability of evil, of knowing like exactly who to prey on.
Right. I was in the mall one time. I think I was 18 at the time. And some guy came up to me and he's like, do you ever think about modeling? I was like, no. And I walked away. So,
hard pass.
Hard pass, thanks. But I wonder, like, when I look back at that, I'm like, could that have been like him trying to be like, come get in my car and we'll go take some pictures? But like, my attitude was like, fuck you. What are you talking about?
Maybe they're not that good at it.
No, they're not that good. So she goes with him and gets in the car.
Okay.
And he tells her to turn around and like pose. So like turn and look out the window and like make a pose. And so she does that, thinking that's kind of weird. And when she turns back, there's a gun in her face.
Okay.
So now she was like, fuck me. What have I done?
Like that pit sinking feeling. Like I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yep. Where like, I did the wrong thing.
I fucked up.
I made a mistake.
Yep.
And now, like, your brain just goes into, like, overdrive. Like, how do I get out of this scenario?
Yeah. So they go into, like, some wooded area, like always. He strips her down, and he starts taking nude photos of her. And she's just going along with it, because she doesn't know. She's in the middle of nowhere. Where's she going to go?
Yeah.
He's got a gun, and he's got a knife. So then we kind of break off and we figure out that Tina was not the first woman that had been like victimized. Women had been gone missing weeks before this. So in Miami, Florida, Nori, a former model, Julie, a former model, and Beth, these all women got taken within like days of each other.
In Miami?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is before Tina, so like we're moving back a little bit. Okay.
I'm with you.
So this is 32 days before Tina was taken. Beth's family is like grieving because they think, no, my daughter would not go somewhere with somebody, or she would come home. She's not that type of person to just be like, oh yeah, thanks, I'm gonna go with you.
Sometimes I think families think they know people better than they know people.
Sure. Well, they hired a private investigator to figure out.
That's really mean of me to say. But what I meant to say was like, there was a time in my life where my parents thought I was doing things.
Oh, sure.
Doing the opposite.
Yeah. So Beth's parents hire a private investigator. She was a teacher and a cheerleader coach. and she was having trouble with her car and went to the gas station. And friends pointed out that Christopher Walker, like later after he had become in the news, like they were like, that's the guy that was with her at the gas station.
Oh, okay.
They're
Like
like,
they connected the
they
dots
connected the
later.
dots. Yeah. And so he told her he'd help her with the car, and he's a photographer, and he and Beth become kind of an item. Not like she feels like he's safe. So I don't know if it's like really boyfriend girlfriend, but they kind of bond in a little bit of a way.
Okay.
Yeah. And so,
How old is Beth? Like in her 20s?
yeah,
Okay.
I'd say early 20s. Okay, so now we go back to Tina. April 4th, 1989, Tina's first day of being captive, she's raped. And he makes little electricity things and zaps them. That's like one of his calling cards.
Okay.
Like on the nipples and everything. It's just really hard. Ugh.
How does he make them?
I don't know, because they were in a hotel room, so I think he took a lamp and did something with the cords, and I don't know. They didn't explain it on. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
April 5th, second day on the road, she said that they just drive. They wake up at 6 a.m. and then they drive till it's dark. He taped her eyes and put sunglasses on her so nobody would see the tape, and they would just think that it's a woman riding in the car with sunglasses on. So she wouldn't know where they're going or have any idea. Yeah. He cut her hair because she says he cut my hair, and I was wondering, why did he cut my hair? And then I thought to myself, he's keeping me. He wants to change my appearance because we're going to be on the road together. Like, she figures this out. Like, this is what she's thinking at 16. So she is like breaking down. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like, this is not going to end fast at all. Like, so then we go back to Beth. The police, this is 25 days before Tina is kidnapped.
Okay.
They put up a $50,000 reward for Beth. And the investigator found that Christopher, or that this person, at this point, they're kind of like narrowing in on him, but they can't put anything to get, like, they can't pin anything on him.
Okay.
He just looks suspicious.
Okay.
So he found racing car and photo in the garage of where
who found the police?
The investigator, the private investigator.
The private investigator.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he found 200 photos of girls in like various naked poses and everything.
Various stages of undress.
Yes. So the investigator calls the police, and they said that he had actual sexual offenses against him, but they hadn't held him.
Okay.
So they're like putting together again. These, like, they know who this guy is.
Yeah.
But they just can't
keep
him up. Yeah. Okay. So then we have another woman, Rosario. She goes missing and looks exactly like Beth.
And is this in Miami too?
I didn't write it down. So police release a sketch with the man she was walking with. Meanwhile, Chris is there with his Porsche. He has a racing career, and he's got like some money behind him too, because he's a photographer as well, and actually gets paid for that. Like, he does have a job as a photographer, but he just doesn't take the women to that. He just takes pictures of them. A news reporter links both women to a fashion photographer and says that Chris looks like the guy, and he says, like, Chris is like, oh my God, these people are like onto me somehow, so he needs to get out of Florida.
Okay.
Now, when he leaves, he just goes like on a rampage. So now we're in Prescott, Arizona.
Yeah, Rosario was last seen at the Miami Grand Prix.
Yeah. Oh, and so that's how they link her to Chris later on, is that she's wearing one of his jackets of the car that he owns.
Okay.
Because he's got decals on his car.
Okay.
So then we're going back to Tina. Okay. They're in Prescott, Arizona, and they decide to go in to get something to eat, and he held the gun under the table and had it pointed at her. And she says, people ask me, why didn't you scream? Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you like tell someone something? And she was like, I'm 16. Like, what was I supposed to do? How was I supposed to figure out? Like, I thought this guy was going to kill me because that's what he told me every 5 minutes. I will kill you if you try something, you know? So I think it was kind of like she's not some 40-year-old woman who's been established. Like, she's 16.
I mean, even if you are a 40-year-old person who's been around, you know, like...
Still scared to death.
I think, I mean, this is why there's trafficking signs in bathrooms, right? Like,
right, yeah.
It's because getting out of these situations, it does need to be discreet.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can't just cause a scene because that generally makes it a lot worse.
Yeah. Sure.
For the victim.
And then there could be more victims killed because of that. So it's a lot to take in. Now, Christopher didn't have the TV on whenever he stopped at hotels. So Tina didn't know really what was going on. She didn't know if her mom was looking for her. She didn't know that this was like a big case. So they get to Gary, Indiana, and he turns on the TV and they say they're looking for Christopher Wilde and with a woman who is an accomplice. Oh. And she just breaks down and was like, what the fuck? I am not an accomplice. Like, I have been kidnapped. You see me with him in the car. That doesn't mean I'm doing shit, you know, like, I'm 16 again.
Yeah.
Like, let's not go down that road. Oh, and then she starts remembering about, the police report. She brings that out and she starts reading through it again. And this is how I think like the mind is like such a mind fuck. She was reading through like her notes and what she had said to the cops. And she was like, oh, there's one. Oh, I didn't remember he raped me at that spot. And like, you know, when people say like they don't remember, I mean, this is 40 years later, like they don't remember. And you would think that like that would be something that she would remember because that was so horrific, but he had done it so many times to her that she didn't remember that one time, that one specific time that was written down that she was talking about.
Yeah, well, and I think our brain's pretty good at protecting us from like the things that hurt us and make us feel bad, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Now we go to Dawn was one of the girls he had preyed on. She was only 14.
Oh, she's a baby.
Maurice met at the mall with him. He told them to put dresses on or take off your shirt. They pulled into a parking lot and Chris said to get aggressive with him and like give him a blowjob and tell him like, oh, no, you can't do that to me, daddy. Like, all of this stuff that is, like, so cringy. And the one girl is 14 years old. Like, how are you supposed to know what the fuck he means?
Yeah.
That's so weird. Okay, so March 15th, 1984, Beth and Rosario... Christopher tells Tina that he wants her to go into the mall and get someone for him because he doesn't want to be seen. So Tina goes into the mall, goes up to Beth and says, hey, you're really pretty. I have a photographer friend at my car. Let's go back there and he can take pictures of you. And so she agrees. And then Tina gets into Christopher's car, or no, Beth's car. And Christopher and Beth are in one car and they go separate ways. Again, this came up. Tina had her own car. Why didn't she just drive away? Why didn't she drive to a police station? Why didn't she go anywhere other than just follow Christopher? And she said, I'm the one that brought Beth to him. I can't leave her alone. Like, that's because of me. That's what she said.
Yeah. Again, she's
16
and living through something extremely traumatic. Yeah. So, like, I'm not going to... And I think she lives in a very different time.
Oh, yeah, this is the 80s. Like
1984 is a lot different than 2025, right? Like, just with the access to knowledge.
Yeah.
And...
Oh, they kept saying it was like the 80s. It was just a fun place to be. Everybody's innocent. Like, nobody, you know, you're just like...
Nothing bad ever happens.
Nothing matters. It's the 80s. Like, shit, they're all in bikinis on the beach during the summer. Yeah. They're at the mall in the winter just fucking hanging out, doing things.
I do think, though, that, like, there's something to be said for that. Like, there's this level of ignorance, without
and no one
having,
could communicate with each other.
Yeah, like without having like something this close to your face 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feeding you just the most negative shit all the time.
Yeah.
And like the scariest stuff. Like there is something to say like that sort of, it's like kid stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because their kids are so insulated.
Yeah.
From that, because there's like the buffer of us as like parents, you know? Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of how everyone lived in the 80s.
It's so true, though.
And, like, you only got the news if you wanted to get the news, right? Like, you had to seek that knowledge and that information out. And now it's just, like, hypodermic needled straight into your brain, like, 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's crazy. Have you ever noticed when you open, this is, like, completely unrelated, but when you open, like, a web browser and it's, like, that main page that has, like, the news stories, for a while, I was, like, getting nothing. And it's, like, so targeted, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah, for sure.
All I would get was plane crashes and listeria outbreaks and norovirus. Like, that was it on that screen. And I don't even, like, engage or interact with that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's, like, listening and hearing and knowing that stuff that I'm talking about with other people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
So, anyways.
Yep.
There's something to be said for, like... I could understand her not knowing how to handle that situation or how to get herself out of that situation because she had never been exposed.
Right.
Or had any knowledge that this would ever be her life.
Right.
You know?
Or that someone would do something
like this.
Yeah.
Like, I think a 16-year-old now in this day and age would be like, would have more wherewithal to, like,
I think so.
Be like, okay, I remember hearing about X, Y, or Z. Like, I know this. You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, so then Therese, we kind of go through these names and they're really quick. It's just like, boom, she found this girl and then she's dead. Like, so I'm not trying to like fly over these people and I give them respect, but it just kind of happens fast. So he moves on and okay, we'll go to him. So he leaves her and kidnaps a woman named Teresa, and her body was found with a rope around her neck. He then goes to Tallahassee on the 20th and kidnaps Linda. The abduction of Linda got the FBI into the game. He kidnapped Linda from a shopping mall and glued her eyelids shut together and beat her and raped her. She lives, gets away, and identifies him. She can pick him up as out of a lineup. Then we go to Beaumont, or he goes to Beaumont, Texas. He abducts Terry and...
So this is pre-Tina, right? Like, this is the spree leading up to him getting Tina. Yeah. And then he continues the spree with Tina.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So he goes to Beaumont, Texas, where he abducts Terry and murders her. She was found in a creek.
Oh, my God.
Then he moves to Oklahoma on the 25th, and he abducts Susie. She was 21, and her body was found in Kansas. Then he moves to Colorado on the 28th, and he abducts Cheryl from a mall. She was found in Utah, stabbed and with a gunshot wound.
Okay.
April 1st, he goes to Las Vegas and abducts a woman named Michelle and kills her. And then we're back to Tina.
Okay.
And they're in Torrance again. And she says that he handcuffs her hand to the bed when they go to sleep at night, but he puts his hand on her and rubs her, and he wants her to rub him too. And she was just like, it was so disgusting, and I could not sleep. I just wanted to throw up because, like, just touching him or just that feeling of right next to him is just disgusting.
Does she ever get any sort of, like, clarity? I mean, maybe you'll cover it on, like, why he
No.
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 Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
Yep. Chris's brother goes on to the news because now they have people identifying him, like literally picking him out of the interview.
So this is going like on national news.
Yeah, this is like national.
But they're still on the run.
Right.
Okay. So we're in like early April of 84.
Yeah.
Okay.
So his brother goes on the news to do an interview, and he says he thinks that Chris just snapped, but he had a long list of bad behavior like before that. He didn't adjust to school. When he was 16, he raped a girl at the beach. His father was an alcoholic, and his brother says he had electric shock therapy, but one of the therapists that had interviewed Chris, he doesn't think that actually happened. Okay. So, I mean, that's a... We'll see. Yeah, he said, she said. But the psychologist said that he needs to be held in a mental hospital for the rest of his life. Like, he is in danger to society and himself, and he should be locked up.
So what is
not in jail, but in mental...
Like, is he just...
He just, like, snapped and just... This is over a span of 7 weeks. Like, this isn't years and years of doing this. All these girls are, like, in a span of 7 weeks.
But, like... There was no one before this?
Well, he had raped when he was 16 somebody. We don't know how many people. They don't. I'll get to that. Okay. All right. So April 5th, 1984, Tina is wondering if anyone's looking for her. And this has got to be the saddest thing because, like, they don't watch TV. She doesn't know that she's on the news. She doesn't know that her mom is, like, going out of her mind trying to find her daughter, which I think is sad. So she just thinks, like, I guess this is it. Like, this is the rest of my life.
Well, and think about how you can manipulate someone, right? Yeah. Like, no one even cares about you, Tina.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's even looking.
Yeah.
You know.
It's sad. And so then Christopher gets added to the FBI's most wanted list. Okay. And they say that was the largest manhunt in FBI history for him. Wow. Because he kept escaping. Like, he was 2 steps in front of the cops. Like, he just couldn't...
A real catch me if you can situation.
He just flew from one place to the next. Like, it was just you stay in one place, murder, and then get the fuck out of there. So, yeah. Okay, so now we're in Gary, Indiana. It's April 10th, his 7th day in captive. Chris changes his actions. He sent Tina inside the mall to get someone again. Told her what to say. Oh, this is Dawn.
Yeah.
We come Dawn. Okay, so we talked about Dawn.
And then he takes her to New York, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And...
Which is crazy to me that he got someone in Indiana and then takes them to New York.
Yes.
That's, like, not that far, but it's also not that close. No. You know? Like, it's... You got to go through the whole state of Pennsylvania. Yeah. Right? And Ohio. So he disposes of her car and then leaves after he sexually assaulted her.
In April 11th, 1984.
Hold on, wait. But this is... She lives, right?
Yeah. It's Dawn's 2nd day in captivity.
Okay.
Yeah. He was using his brother's credit card or his business partner's credit card. So it wasn't his name, Christopher's name on the credit card.
Okay.
And he was using that, and it wasn't real time. So they would swipe it and then they would get it 2 days later, but he was already
gone.
Already had raped and murdered 2 or 3 different people by then. And then, left. Yeah. So they were trying to get him so bad. Okay. So they drive into the wilderness and he rapes Dawn, and then I think he hits her over the head, and he falls and he thinks that she's dead. So they leave her, but then he gets this worried thing in his body and he drops back around and she's not there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he gets weird.
Well, panicked. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit.
Yep. April 12th. 9th day of captivity for Tina. Now the FBI is on him and they're tracking him, and he is getting scared at this point. And then, so at this point he's like, I think everything's done and over. This is it. So Tina and him go to the airport, and he buys her an airline ticket to go back home and gives her $1,000 for anything that she needs and says bye.
What?
Yeah. She was sitting at the airport and she was like, I don't know if this is a joke. Was he messing with me? Is he going to come back after me?
What?
But she goes, when I finally sat down and the airplane took off, I was like, this is I'm free. Yeah.
What?
Just lets her go.
I mean, great.
Right.
But also, like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
Yep. So April 13th.
There had to have been something about her that just, like,
drew him, to her.
He couldn't kill her.
No.
Because he clearly could kill other people.
No, he had no problem.
Zero issue.
Yeah.
You know, like, there had to have just been something about, like, her soul or her being, you know?
Yep.
That's wild. Okay.
So, it's April 13th, 1984. She lands in Los Angeles. She takes her cash and she says, the first place I go to, or she gets in the cab and says, take me to a lingerie store. She said she hadn't bathed. Like, she bathed once out of those 9 days, wore the same underwear that she was being raped in, and then put them back on. So she goes into, not like a laundry, but like, you know, just, she wants to change her underwear. She wants a new bra.
Why doesn't she go home?
Well, she didn't want to go home because she thought, if I go home, the reporters are going to be there, and I don't want my mom to be subject to that. So she changes, and then she goes to see her boyfriend. But her boyfriend wasn't at home. His friends were. And they took her to the police department. Because she said she wasn't ready to go home. She tells the cops that he is headed to Canada. Chris is headed to Canada. That was his plan. So they get to where he is. They actually find him. And it's like a standoff with the cops. And Chris has a gun, and the cops have a gun, and gunshots go off, and then they stop, and they realize Chris shot and killed himself. Once, he was still alive, and then he shot himself again, and then he was dead. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, they know of at least 12 people that he has killed, or at least 8 people that are killed by him. But there are so many others he's a suspect in. So I'm just going to read some of these names. I know some of them we went through already, but there's a lot more.
Okay.
So Rosario Gonzalez, Elizabeth Kenyon, Teresa Ferguson, Linda Grover, Terry Walden, Suzanne Logan, Cheryl Bontaventura, Michelle Kerfman, Tina Rosario, Dawn Wilt, Beth Dodge, Wilmanina Kroger, Ann Dowling, unidentified body, which was found in November of 79. Tammy Alexander, Marie Spitza, Mary Elizabeth Hare, Tina Beebe, Leona Keller, Sherry Ball, Tammy Leopard, Lori Kersey, Melody Gay, and Colleen Emerson.
Wow.
All of these people are suspected. So, like, the first 11 are, like, some of the ones that we went through, and then 12 through 24 are ones that he's suspected of because he had the same MO. And so, with the electricity on the nipples and the strangling and the stabbing.
Interesting.
So, none of these are all unsolved, but they're pretty, I think it's a pretty well connection. Yeah. So that's the story of Christopher Wilder.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, also I'm looking on Wikipedia and it says, maybe this wasn't in the documentary.
I could have totally missed it.
Wilder was cremated in Florida, leaving a personal estate worth more than $7 million. In June 1986, a court-appointed arbitrator ruled that the after-tax balance was to be divided among the families of his victims.
Oh, that's nice. No, that wasn't in the doc.
That's what it says.
Nice.
I wonder if that includes Tina.
Probably.
And, like, the ones who lived, right?
Yeah. Because there were, like, 3 of them.
I feel like I've heard this too,
right?
Actually.
But I couldn't figure out if it was, like, pieces.
I think there's a case that's similar to this.
Yeah, I think so, too.
But maybe it was him.
Maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, that was all. See you later.